Hello, everyone. Hi, Rohan.
Hi, Mohit.
Hey, so my name is Mohit Sawhney, and I'm here to have a chat with Rohan Batra. Before we get into the details of the session, let's have a quick intro. Skill Factory presents PLF Junior 6th edition. Phoenix Literature Festival started its journey in 2020, and several sessions called Lit Fests have already been conducted. The mission of this is to inspire and empower children and young adults to cultivate, nurture, and enhance their reading, writing, and storytelling skills. This fest is powered by Schools of Creativity. Search My Tenders is our technology partner. Confident Storytelling Hub is our associate partner. And Revival Mastery is our academic partner. I have with me a very good friend who is here as a guest today. I've had a long association with Rohan. He's an experienced commercial litigation and disputes lawyer. He's a fitness enthusiast, and he's someone who believes that everyone can be an author. He's authored a book titled Monk Your Mind recently. Please help me welcome Rohan Batra. Thanks, Rohan, for joining us for this conversation. You are a busy litigation lawyer, and you have recently ventured into a sort of an uncharted territory of writing a book. First of all, congratulations for the launch of your book. This marks your debut as an author. So I'm sure this is very exciting for you. Our audience would certainly want to know what is it that inspired you? So, were there any specific moments or certain experiences which motivated you into entering into this journey of becoming an author?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mohit. That's an excellent question. First of all, thank you, Mohit, Rahul, for having me here. And thank you, Skill Factory and PLF Junior Literary Fest for organizing this. When you talk about inspiration, we all think about that energy wave which comes and pushes us, lifts us off our feet, and makes us write a book. And I found that it doesn't happen. For me, the story is a bit different. Rather than inspiration, it was actually accountability and to a large extent, fear. I've always wanted to write a book. I wasn't sure of the topic. I wasn't sure when I'm going to write it. And year on year, I was postponing it. Let me take you back to January 2023, which is the beginning of this year. I was attending a workshop. The workshop was about multiple ways of making passive income, and book was one of them. And the gentleman said to all of us that you should write a book to make money. I said, all right, sounds like a reasonable thing to do. He said, in one day, I'm going to teach you how. So before anything, he taught us the first principle, which is sell first, make later. He told us to post on social media with a book cover that I'm going to be launching my book on so-and-so date. I took
Rohan, looks like your voice is muted. Yeah.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, please go on.
I don't know where I stopped, but I'll begin now from where I left off.
You were actually talking about attending a session where you got to know about posting on a social media platform that you were going to write a book, something on those lines. So you can carry
Yeah.
on from there.
So the interesting thing what happened, Mohit, was I ended up making my first social media post. And as ridiculous as it may sound, it was about launching my book, and I had not written a single word. So sitting in end of January 2023, I am predicting that on 25th March 2023, I will launch my first book. The moment I did that, that whole night I couldn't sleep. There was so much stress that I've committed myself to this daunting task. How can I possibly do this in this short period of time? that fear, as they say, that tiger behind me was launched. And I started writing the book just to save my life and to keep my reputation. Because what was inside of me was, I cannot fail in front of everybody else. So I started writing the book. I finished it, edited it, and I put it up on 25th of March. So for me, quite frankly, it was not an inspiration. It was simple accountability. And I think most of us are waiting for that inspiring moment in life, waiting to feel good, waiting to be motivated. But actually, what we need is a bit of a kick in the butt, if I can use that expression. And that sets us off into doing the thing. Inspiration, feeling good, motivation, it comes along the way. If we keep waiting for that nice, jolly, warm feeling, yeah, today I'm Mohit, I'm going to write a book, today. For me, that today got postponed by 4 years until January 2023. So it's accountability. I think that's what really helped me.
That's great, Rohan. Thanks for sharing that. I'm sure our audience resonates with that. I've personally gone through that journey of waiting for that right moment to start writing. But accountability is the key word here that I'm taking away, which will help us in getting there. A second question is related to this one. Like you said, many of us have contemplated writing books. We are into a different profession. You are a busy lawyer yourself, and you've managed the time and whatever it takes to write a book. But many of us start, but many of us falter along the way. Other priorities, demotivation, like n number of things come in the way. You've finished publishing your book, so we can ask you, what is it that you think worked for you? Were there any specific habits? Were there any secrets to you being able to finally publish the book?
Yeah, I'm happy to share that there is actually no such big secret that none of us already don't know. So just imagine this situation, that you are on a starting line of a race, and the race is about 10 kilometers long. And you're thinking whether I'll be able to start the race, whether I'll be able to finish 10 kilometers. It's a big distance. What do I do? Now, if just behind the finishing line, right where you are placed, I put a big, large tiger and I unleash the tiger. Now, tell me something, Mohit. Will you run as fast as possible to save your life and finish those 10 kilometers or not?
Absolutely.
So, for someone who's, let's say, never run a 10-kilometer race, or let's say someone who's never written a book, this kind of strategy of unleashing some kind of accountability will not only help you start, but will also see you through. The reason why life comes in the way, in my humble experience, is because the goal that we have often loses priority to other things. It's important to us, it's in the back of our mind, but because other things take priority, we are not able to focus on it. So the idea is, if we are starting something like writing a book, which is a long-term commitment, which requires everyday effort, the idea is, first of all, of course, to have a goal in mind, but to make it of such large priority that we cannot afford to miss it. We cannot afford to lose it. That's what I feel is probably a hack. It may not be for everyone. It may not be for everyone. It might put someone in a lot of stress. But the other thing which I personally followed is, because I had my cases going on, I had workload, I had office to take care of. Whatever little free time I got, I was just writing. Whether I'm at the airport waiting for the flight, I'm typing. Whether I'm sitting outside the courtroom waiting for my matter, I'm typing on the phone. Whether it's over the weekend, I get an hour or so, I'm typing. So every time there is some little free time, I'm typing. So we don't need a big system in place, except to create accountability for the future and to just start. I think, Mohit, all of us I have felt through this many, many times in my life, that we postpone goals because we don't start. Let's just start. And I think we figure things along the way.
Great. Thanks, Rohan, for sharing that. So basically, my takeaway from this is that, first of all, have some sort of, you can say, fear or some sort of accountability to yourself. And then use every moment, every opportunity you have, even if it is about writing a few words when you get a little free time while you're waiting in a queue, for example. Use that time to write and continue on that journey. So fantastic answer there. Now let's talk about the book itself. The book is titled Monk Your Mind, and I have read the book from cover to cover. It was an easy read. It is something that had several insights and solid takeaways for me, and that when I could finish reading it in a few days itself. So it was that easy for me to read. What also stood out for me was the format. You have a chapter which is a few pages, then you have a bulleted list of insights and tangible actions that people can take away from that chapter. What I also liked was the many things in the book, but particularly the one that I keep in the top of my mind is about embracing discomfort. It has changed the way I look at challenges and problems in the life. And I embrace it because it's opportunity for me to grow in a sense. Now, I'm sure we want the audience to read the book themselves, and without giving too much away, I would want to know from you, what is the key message you think the book contains, and why should anybody read this book?
Wow, it's a very tough question. But let me answer that from my own experience. When I was going through troubling times, I found, Mohit, that the only thing which I had to really keep a check on was not the external environment, because that's not in my control. I had to only focus on the mind, because every obstacle which was outside was an obstacle in my mind because of the way I was perceiving that obstacle. It dawned on me like a sudden realization that almost, if not all, our struggles are in the mind. And in today's fast-paced world, you have a lot of work pressures, we have social pressures, we have sometimes pressures at home. How does one really focus and go towards the goal that we want? To me, the answer became very obvious that actually the only reason we can do that is if we have a strong mindset. Now, the strong mindset, unfortunately, fortunately, is not something that we're born with. Over a period of time, it's our circumstances, our situations, what we pick up along the way makes us stronger. And in my own journey, I picked some of these lessons from people much wiser than personally me, some people who've achieved a lot of success in their life. And that's when I realized that, everybody's going through a tough time. But how are those people managing it so well than others? It's because they have a strong mindset. And if I can use a simple word, if someone wants to be resilient in life and values being resilient, the book is for them. If someone doesn't know what resilience is today, the book is also for them. Ultimately, if I can go back in time, let's say if I was sitting in 11th or 12th standard, and if I wanted to understand what are the tools or skills I would need 3-4 years down the line to be able to succeed in my professional or college life, or let's say enter the profession, I would think that this book would really help them. Because this book, the idea or the philosophy behind this book is, if one masters the mind, then they are able to master their life around. And as Ralph Alderson always said, a man is what he thinks all day long. So if we have the right kind of thoughts throughout the day, it will cultivate a great mindset, which will make us resilient and it will help us in handling all these adversities. And I think, Mohit, uh, all of us know this, that life is an uphill task. It's not all bed of roses and cushions. So, and in one of the most important tools which I've realized in today's life is to be resilient. And if someone really enjoys that, someone wants to have that, the book should help them. I
Great.
sincerely hope it does.
Yeah, absolutely. Coincidentally, I was reading about this Raymond business story recently, and somebody who's super rich can become poor overnight because of some anything that can happen. So those assets that we consider assets are not really assets, and it is the mind, how resilient we can be, how we can effectively use the mind, and that's what the book Monk Your Mind talks about. And I think students and young adults who are the audience in this forum as well can have a strong toolkit for themselves for their future, to protect their mind and keep themselves in a good positive spirit. So I'm seeing some reactions from the audience. They're finding this interesting, and I would let the audience know that if you have questions, please post them, and we will pick those questions here for Rohan to answer. uh, so continuing on then, it is also said that one doesn't read a book, one reads authors, right? So this is your debut as an author, and I'm sure there's a lot that is in your mind which will come up eventually. Is there anything else that you're planning to come up with? Any next book thinking already coming up, or is there any other place where you write regularly? That's something that I and I'm sure the audience would want to know, Rohan.
Great. Wow. It's a loaded question, Mohit. All questions in one. In terms of what the future lies for me, yes, I have a series of books planned in mind. To be very honest, I haven't started working on them. But what I'm currently doing, and that's something very interesting, is to take the philosophy of Monk Your Mind out of the book and bring it in front of the public. What that means is holding live events for people who are interested in this philosophy, to make this philosophy a living philosophy, and then discuss and share what my insights are, and most importantly, actually learn from the people. Because ultimately, we are only one individual, and the brilliance lies in the people. The idea is to marry that brilliance with this philosophy and make it even more practical, make it even more digestible so that people can actually use it on a day to day basis. So, as of now, there are a few live events which I'm working on. One has already taken place on how to bring the Monk Your Mind philosophy. It's a masterclass called Monk Your Mind, and I'm happy to be conducting this online and offline. So that's certainly one area where if people are interested, they can always join. The second thing is, and I've realized that not everybody will be able to join who's not based in the same city as I am. So the other idea is to, of course, start a series of called Monk Your Mind Wisdom series, which I'm planning to launch on Instagram very soon, which will be about how these daily lessons can be put in small chocolate bites so that people in the day and age which I call the scrolling age, they can completely scroll through wisdom, some knowledge which I've picked up, and I can put it in a different way to them, and they can take it back home. So these are the two things which I'm actively working on, and these passion projects, if I can call them, are very close to my heart. And I feel that if I can bring this philosophy out and package it in the way the modern world really wants it, I think it's going to make a difference. So that's where you will see me in some of these offline events and online events in the form of reels or anything that you can find me. And as to where I write, I think I have not made one set place for me to write, as I was sharing with you. What I do is actually, and this is something which I picked up while watching a YouTube video, is to have some kind of a second brain. And there's a book also called The Second Brain. And the idea of the second brain is actually to create an organized folder of all your thoughts, information, quotes, anecdotes, and keep it stored. Keep it handy so that in the future you can go to that second brain, pick those thoughts out, and use it for the purposes of either writing a book or for the purposes of having this session here or anywhere else. I accidentally stumbled upon it when I was writing my book, but then I realized there is actually a concept called the second brain. And so for me, Mohit, it's everywhere. I'm a fluid person in that sense. Whether it's speaking to you right now, I suddenly get a thought, I'll jot it down. And if it is somewhere outside court, I'll jot it down. If it's on the way back to work, I'll jot it down. But if I want to write down, I'll maybe sit down on my study desk, or when I'm having an hour free during office hours, I'll start typing something. So wherever the space, wherever there's a table, there's a desk, something to write on, I'll start writing.
Fantastic. Okay, thanks, Rohan. I'm sure the audience also wants to know, when you talk about second brain, is that something that is for your own consumption, or is that something that the audience can also get access to while you are still jotting down your thoughts?
As of now, I've just kept it as my personal library. I've just started building it up.
Okay.
But what each one of us can do is actually use notes or Google Notes or the notes on an iPhone. And wherever we get a great idea, either from our own mind or somebody else, it's important to jot it down. Now, there is a way in which one has to be organized. The book is excellent. I've read it. It's Second Brain. I'm not getting the name of the author, but people can search it on Amazon. That's an excellent way to start having your own personalized brain, and that you can use it. It's a repository of sorts where you can keep going back, take it out, and start doing it. A form of this, we actually do it in law as well. When I was a fresh entrant in the profession, my senior asked me, Rohan, you need to prepare or maintain what is called a case law register. Now, 12 years back, we didn't have these Google Notes. So I had this big register, and alphabetically, we would write down the cases. So every time a new case come, we would hunt for the proposition, flip through the pages, and say, this is the case law I'd read back then. So Second Brain is a more digital ecosystem for what we used to do. I think it's helpful. It's helped me. I'm guessing it's going to be helpful to everyone.
Great. Thanks, Rohan, and good best wishes for your live sessions and even the Insta sessions that you are planning to start. And as far as the Second Brain is concerned, I'm sure this will come in the shape of another book, or in some shape or form, it will come back to the audience to consume as well. So, I think that's a good segue into the next question, which is all about this emerging technology and how it is impacting lives of as those who aspire to be writers. Like personally, I want to write like many others too. But when I think about generative AI, for example, it comes in the way. It demotivates me, because what would I write that a Gen AI can't write already? That kind of thing stops me from writing, even though I know that writing is going to be good for me and I may be able to share my own experiences and stuff like that. But I really want to know, and I'm sure the audience too wants to know from you, how do you see AI and all these latest technologies? Does it demotivate you? Does it help you in using it as a tool, or how do you look at all these technologies that are coming up?
That's a great question, Mohit. I see technology as a tool. It's a very powerful tool. It has the effect of changing the landscape economically, socially, technologically, or the way we see life. No two ways about it. What's important is how we use the technology. If you remember, back in time, we had this series of Nokia phones which used to be there. And back in the day, Nokia phone used to be the most popular phone. But what happened with iPhone? iPhone came and suddenly all these phones had to struggle, phone companies had to struggle for survival. This is what technology can do. Now, it's for people to either learn how to adapt and survive and come out like a Samsung or a Google or other phone companies when they adapt to their technology and bring out new products. Or it's the choice is on us to regress and not do anything about it. The way I see technology, and I'm probably repeating myself, is it's a very, very powerful tool. We can either use it or be used by it. When I look at it in the context of writing, and let's say softwares like Chat GPT, which are the tools today to make writing very easy, it certainly reduces the amount of effort which one has to do with writing. But I ask this question, Mohit, if all of us start using Chat GPT, what is going to happen? Will everyone's product still be the same? I think the answer is no. Because it also depends on who the user of that technology is. If someone who's very well versed with how to write already has a flourishing style of writing, he can probably use AI or Chat GPT to use technology in a much better way, to give much better results, to generate a much more crisper or more engaging script than someone perhaps who's starting out. I feel that today we are at a stage where we are going to bridge human skill with AI skill. The better the human skill, along with the AI skill, the better the result. The more noticed the human skill, coupled with the AI skill, the more average the result. So, what it means practically for us is we don't have to start or stop writing. We can continue to enjoy that expression of art, but we have to be mindful of how do I improve my writing? Can I do it the old way of preparing a manuscript, giving it to someone senior who can edit it, or I can use AI today to edit my script, to write, let's say, a few chapters, but at the same time maintain my originality, maintain the ideas of what Mohit wanted to express. And I asked this question when Chat GPT, because I was extremely worried myself, like you are. But this question really put me at ease. I asked Chat GPT, what are the skills that Chat GPT you cannot have and execute? The first one was empathy. The second one was human creativity. And Chat GPT explains that I may look like I'm creative, but I don't have the assimilation of human emotions, experience, anecdotes, their own pains and histories to come out with such creativity. So even by Chat GPT's own admission, they're not as creative. There's certainly creativity which comes out of Chat GPT. But human creativity, human ingenuity, in my view, is frankly limitless. Because the sources that we tap into to get that creativity are not necessarily within us. So we can use, if I can give one takeaway, we can use Chat GPT to express ourselves better so that that frees our time. But at the same time, we must think ourselves as to what should be the ideas we want to convey. Because a book is nothing but an idea or a combination of ideas. And if we continue to think and pursue great ideas and thoughts which can change humanity, which can change society, which can be better for the livelihood, and if AI tools helps us, then it's not a bad thing.
Right. So while we can't be oblivious to AI and all these latest technologies, what you're saying is that the human creativity, our own ideas are our ideas, and it's only um, a tool, as a tool that we can use these technologies to make it better, perhaps?
Yeah, let me give you an example if you have a minute. When I was thinking of what should the title of the book be, I wrote it myself down a couple of times, some combinations, what it should be, what the book philosophy should be conveyed by. I wrote about 10 things down. It wasn't clicking. Nobody would like it. It's such a off title. Then I used some of these AI generator apps. I said, okay, these are the words which I want to put in these AI apps and see what kind of results it throws at me. It gave me some 20, 30 ideas. To be very honest, some of them were good. It helped clarify my own mind what I really want to convey. But one day, I had just finished my meditation, and suddenly this thought came, monk your mind. Right after that. And I chose that. So I think perhaps the title was a result of my own thinking as well as taking help from AI, or it was an idea which came from somewhere outside of me. I don't know. But I think it's a great example of how we can bridge human intelligence with AI intelligence and come up with something different.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, Rohan. Yeah, we are, I think, just in time now to wrap up the session. And I would like to thank you for sparing the time for sharing your journey with all of us. It's been inspiring to hear about what was your inspiration behind writing the book, a bit about what tiger you had behind you to finish writing the book. And also you shared some interesting concepts like the second brain, which I'm sure the audience can take away. Thank you once again for sharing your valuable perspectives. Is there any final message that you would like to share with our audience before we close?
Yeah, in fact, I do, and this would resonate deeply with my own philosophy. We, as human beings, we are not only social beings, we are also expressive beings. And within all of us lies that person who wants to express himself or herself. And therefore, that person is truly an author, and an author resides in all of us. All that we need to do is to just start. Start with whatever we want to do, whether it's expressing ourselves through video, through visuals, or through pen and paper and writing, or now in the modern age, typing it out. That's all we need to do.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. So let's start with wherever we are at. Let's not wait for that right time or right moment. And before we wrap up the conversation, Rohan, I would like for you to officially launch your book, Monk Your Mind, on this platform. It would really make this moment memorable for all of us. And we would really like to see how the book cover looks like. And over to you to just virtually launch your book for all of us in the audience. And with that, we will close the session.
Thank you so much, Mohit. It's truly a great opportunity. And the book is actually right next to me. So for anyone who's not seen the book, this is the book which I managed to write. It's called Monk Your Mind. And if you'll see that this is fairly thin, so it falls in the readable category, and it contains 10 very important lessons which I myself have applied in my own life, in every area of my life, and seen good results. So if you manage to stumble upon this book, do flip a few pages and do let me know what your feedback is. Thank you so much, Mohit. And thank you, Skill Factory and PLF Junior Literary Fest, for giving me this opportunity. It truly, truly means a lot.
Thank you, Rohan. Okay.